Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Oh yes, we're right back at the bullshit chapter, and unfortunately, unlike last time, I'm pretty much cutting out the boss fight against Trinity Armor, mainly because we've already seen it, and if you're worried about not seeing its boss fight again, don't worry, Mirage Arena. We'll be getting to that in Terra's story, but in terms of the main plotting, yeah, I do apologize that we're not seeing this 3 bloody times, but there's only so much I can fucking talk about, and by god is that prevalent given how much waffling I've had to do throughout Aqua's story. Dear god, Terra's story's gonna be a nightmare. I have no idea what I'm gonna do by the time I get to it, but by god we'll find a way, because I do desperately want to get these parts finished off. But yeah, also, this is the one rare occasion where I'm actually using a different Keyblade. Kairi's one, because I figured it's appropriate.
Got him. We make a good team.
The dissolution of the friendship. Now, I previously talked about this in regards to, well, Vanitas' thing, and this time I'm gonna be discussing it with Aqua, but first of all,
he said to take 2 grown-ups.
I absolutely love Jesse McCartney's delivery of that line. It's also funny because not only is Vanitas technically older than both of these two fetuses barely out of the cradle, but in turn, it's just... the scene itself is just kind of funny. Yeah, the way it frames just Aqua and Terra as his doting little parents. You see, Aqua's the responsible one, and Terra is the naughty boy. Or at least so the game will have us believe. And here's where everything just gets fucky.
I want to go with you guys.
I want to go with you guys.
Dangerous task ahead of us. I don't want you to get hurt.
Contrived writing in 3, 2, 1. You could easily explain what this dangerous task is, Terra. You've already told Aqua at this point that you've made contact with Master Xehanort. Just explain what he told you to her, and she may in fact understand. I mean, Jesus, you know what, I'll explain Terra's point of view later on, but Aqua being so accusatory like this is just... Again, like, I mean, if you remember the Enchanted Dominion where Aqua was quick to defend Terra, and, you know, even the Dwarf Lands or whatever, like, again, she seemed relatively on Terra's side, so the fact that she just randomly starts accusing him without asking what's going on just feels completely out of fucking line. I mean, again, from Terra's perspective, we don't quite know what he did yet, but I guess it could be the fact that he's embarrassed by what he's done and how he's bungled things, but... Contrived. Contrivances everywhere.
You're awful, Aqua.
Yes, indeedy. You tell her, Vanitas! Even though you also have equally bullshitty a reason to just fuck around and go around the worlds.
But the Master loves Terra. And you know that too.
Ugh, God. Like, again, from Aqua's perspective, she was given the task secretly, and again, a lot of this is all Eriquus' fault for basically putting these burdens and expectations on, you know, a fucking teacher's pet, you know, a guy who has earnest means but ends up bungling things, and a bumblefuck kid who's basically just bungling around the world doing his own thing when Aqua should just grab him by the neck, spank his tight little derriere, and take him the fuck home, and... I don't know, basically send her to bed with no dinner and no TV for a week. Ugh. But again, I really don't know what they're trying to imply here, because, I mean... The idea is that Aqua's betraying their friendship, which, again, is true, but again, if they went about this in a way that's more understanding and compassionate, you know, the way in which friends of several years would approach each other, all of this would have been avoided, but instead it's all treated as just sort of like, oh no, Aqua, you're being so totally irrational and unfair. Even though, as the game later reveals, especially with certain plot points in the previous part, yeah, Terra does need to be watched. He does need a guiding hand. In fact, it does also make you wonder why Eriquus didn't send Aqua with Terra. You know, have 2 friends that, despite the fact that they were, you know, pretty sore about not becoming Keyblade Master, would have at least been able to work together. Aqua could have been Terra's moral compass, and completely avoided all of the bullshit, rather than just sending Terra off on his own to basically completely fuck things over. And I mean, even in that case, if Ventus would have run off, then Eriquus, being the only one still in the land of departure, would have gone after him, and likely would have been of the sterner stuff and, you know, strict sort of mindset, you know, to grab Ventus by the neck, bring him home, ground his ass, and, you know, take further precautions about the Keyblade, which Eric was in and of himself, if you remember that earlier cutscene, was fully aware of, so he obviously knew that Vanitas was a ticking time bomb, could have done something about, but didn't. Or even Maven. And again, it really does sort of pay dividends to the whole fact that Xehanort only really wins because everybody else is a fucking moron. Again, I could draw comparisons to the Star Wars prequel trilogy, but that's neither here nor there in this case, because by sleep, as you could no doubt tell, is Tetsuya Nomura watching Revenge of the Sith and going, man, I want to make someone like that. And again, while I wouldn't say it completely fails, it does come across as a lot more contrived than what Revenge of the Sith really had, because again, like this, Birth by Sleep wants to sort of be, you know, the Revenge of the Sith of the trilogy, but it forgot to have, you know, a Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones to really back it up, and, you know, much as everybody would bash the prequel trilogy for, you know, specific writing conventions here and there, it at least did show the rise of Anakin became a boy, then he became a man, then he became corrupted by evil and became Darth Vader. You know, you at least had an understandable arc to sort of follow as an overall trajectory from prequels to original trilogy. Birth by Sleep, on the other hand, basically has to do the heavy lifting of, like, 3 other previous games that established not only Eriquus and Xehanort's whole deal, which would have been Kingdom Hearts Dark Road, the proverbial Attack of the Clones, which would have established, you know, Aqua and Terra and their past and all that, and then this game being the crescendo to that story arc, and again, I mentioned it beforehand, but it's also one of the points where Kingdom Hearts, you know, the Kingdom Hearts saga as we have it today, Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, and 2, which were the only games really released at the time that Birth by Sleep was conceptualized, had the advantage, because again, they had developed arcs going forward, whereas Birth by Sleep is very much riding backwards, trying to set up events from the previous games, but also trying to retcon in the additional story that Nomura wants to tell. And the end result of that is that it just doesn't come across as very organic, and it comes across as very ham-fisted and forced, in basically trying to shove in elements that didn't exist previously into a round hole, and while I will say that I think Kingdom Hearts does a slightly better job at this than, say, Metal Gear Solid, for example, you know, with the whole Big Boss prequel games of Peace Walker and Phantom Pain or whatever, I don't know, it does come across as a wee bit contrived, especially as you go back to Kingdom Hearts 1 and see, you know, how naturally it sort of slotted in Ansem, Secret of Darkness, and Xemnas as characters in their own right. To, well, you know what, you'll see as we come on, but, many harsh words to say. I wanna, by the way, to sort of elucidate on this before I, you know, ramble about anything else. Yeah, a bit of trivia on that scene with, you know, Aqua meeting Kairi, a bit of a technical flub in the PSP version, which I actually caught on my first time through, but, yeah, there was actually a scene where, because of screen limitations and the fact that they didn't really account for the PSP's hardware compared to, I suppose, the DS or GBA, there was actually a scene where you can actually see 2 Kairis on screen, so I'm seeing double. 4 Kairis. Again, this was fixed in the HD versions of the game, so again, you're not going to be seeing 4 Kairis whatsoever in the later versions, but it is still fun to think about. Kablamo! Yeah, I don't really have much to say about any of these, really. I suppose one thing I can say about the pod enemies is that they do cast Blizzard in the same way as traditional Final Fantasy by dropping an icicle thing on them. Yay, classic Final Fantasy.
Oh, just as I said it would happen, here's the 3rd one. That book is almost more trouble than it's worth. Say no more. The book you need to awaken the powers within you is just inside. Read to your heart's content, my dear.
I'm the 3rd? Terra and Ventus were here?
And thus we have our Winifred Feces command board. Whee! And I suppose the only other thing I really have to say at this stage, I probably should save it for the upcoming boss fight, but queashed. Yeah, fuck, I forgot what Kairi's Keyblade is called. I'm just gonna call it Cherry Blossom for the lack of a better phrase. Not too bad a Keyblade, but not my favourite. Still prefer Rainfall, to be honest.
mask? You're the boy that Ventus mentioned.
Ah, yes. Ventus. Tell me something. Has he learned to put up a decent fight yet?
What do you mean?
I'll be asking the questions. And why shouldn't I? After all, between the two of us, I'm the only one who will walk away from here alive.
Yes, again!
Oh yes, another boss fight against Vanitas! And, yeah, considering that this is also a very first phase Vanitas boss fight, nothing too exciting, but at the same time though, you do get some, at least very decent enemy dynamics to, you know, play yourself off with. Aqua being very magic focused, I suggest you make heavy use of zero gravity magic, because that can absolutely wreck Vanitas' shit. As well as Farraga Burst. In terms of anything else though, don't really have too much to say about Vanitas, although one thing I will say is that they do play up a wee bit of a rivalry between Vanitas and Aqua, which I suppose maybe would have played an initial part in the draft of Kingdom Hearts 3, where, not spoiling anything with Aqua's character, but let's just say she does become a little bit tempted by the darkness. Ooh, yeah. But, yeah, that seems to be what the scene was hinting at, that Vanitas was going to be a bit of a tempting factor in that, but nothing ever really comes of it, and yeah, bit of an odd doc really, but anyway, fun boss fight aside, we get to use Blade Charge, which is another command style that is actually quite fun to use, and I believe is Terra and Aqua exclusive, so yeah, deck increased, Vanitas defeated for the time being, levels excellent.
Who are you?
Not bad at all. Congratulations. I'll keep you around. Never hurts to have a backup.
I have to stop him before anything else happens to Terra and Ven.
Aqua!
And here we go again, basically another scene where Aqua, at this stage again, she's already very adamant that Ventus should go home. But instead, as you recall in Ventus' story, she just leaves apropos of nothing, not because of anything that Vanitas said, but instead because of the fact that, I guess she wants to keep tabs on Terra, but she's trusting Ventus to go home on his own, and again, you would have thought that somebody who was responsible would think, no, it's not let's go home, it's we are going home. Take him by the scruff of the neck, drag him back to Erequis, lock him in his room, even use your Keyblade if you have to, and again, let Erequis deal with the fucking brat. Again, he's disobeyed orders, he must be punished. Oh, gun hell. I mean, seriously, God, I mean, if it was any other child, he'd be getting a smack bottom and a demotion, young man. And again, as we know, after this point, Ventus pretty much is like, no, I can't quit. I gotta find Terra. And then the rest of the story plays out, and, grumble, grr, angrish. But anyway, that's Radiant Garden, and now we can move on to greener pastures like Disney Town. I'll be taking a look at next time. Sometimes it makes me wonder why I even bothered to commentate on this game at all. Anyway, I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and I'll catch you next time for Disney Town. Fuck off.